Hey everyone, welcome back to The Curious Consumer. Today we have a video where I'm going to be doing some modifications to my Nintendo Wii U Pro controller. But before we start, I just want to go over a little bit with you guys about how you could tell whether or not your Wii U Pro controller is a real or a fake controller. They do make these third-party fake controllers that you could buy for pretty inexpensive. They work kind of good. They're not super good. They're definitely not as good as a Nintendo product. However, it could get you by if you're looking for a cheap controller for maybe your son or your daughter. If they have a lot of friends over, you don't want them to ruin the controllers just in case they're not careful with them. So let me just show you that I have two controllers here that look identical. The main differences you're going to find here is that there is a logo of the Wii U on the actual Nintendo branded controller, whereas on this one here there is no logo. If you look around the back side, you'll see it still has the print, just like it does here on the back of this one. But here the main difference is you can see the Nintendo logo here, whereas on this controller there is no logo. Another really key feature or key way to find out whether or not you have a aftermarket clone controller is by looking at your screws. In here, Nintendo uses, and I don't think you can see that on this camera, but in here, Nintendo uses a tri-wing screw. Tri-wing being their security screw, just like Microsoft uses the Torx security screw, which is the little star with the little hole in the middle. Nintendo uses the tri-wing screw, which almost looks like a Phillips head screwdriver, but instead of having 4 sides to it, it only has 3. In an aftermarket or a clone controller would typically just use a Phillips head screwdriver inside these. Now, another really funny way to find out whether or not you have a clone controller is if you take a Nintendo controller like this and you shake it, you don't hear anything. But if I do it to this one, you can hear the plastic moving around. And that's just these triggers on the back. It's a tighter fit for the triggers on a Nintendo brand controller, whereas on these, it's a little loose. Also, if you go like this and click down on the like the zoom in feature on like a Call of Duty, you can hear the clicking there, whereas on this one, it's a lot quieter. It's definitely a better contact on the Nintendo branded controller. Now, you may be wondering why I have a clone controller here. And really the story is this. I used to have 2 or 3 of these controllers. These are $50 a piece. And my son had his friends over and they ended up dropping the controller and it kind of cracked the plastic here. I had a black controller like this and it cracked the bottom here. So what I ended up doing was I went online and I found these clone controllers and they would sell them and sometimes you can find them in a double pack where it's 2 different colors, like a white and a black controller. For like $29, and you get two controllers for that. So I figured if he's going to be playing with his friends and they're rough with their controllers, I might as well not spend $50 on a premium controller. I would just spend the $29 and get 2 of these kinds of controllers. And what I ended up doing was I bought 4 altogether, and I was able to change some of these parts and saving the other internals for another time. But what I ended up doing was using the shell of a white version of this and putting my black Nintendo Wii U controller components inside of it. So it's the same shell and it fits the same, except of course the triggers are a little bit looser on the aftermarket, but it is the Nintendo internals in that controller. And I also thought it'd be kind of neat to change the button configuration. So here's a black version of the controller and I put my white buttons in it. And the thing I don't like about these is, as you can tell, it's discolored. They turn yellow pretty quickly. I'm not a big fan of that. So I'll probably be changing these out later on as well with new thumb pads. But the controller that I want to change today is this controller here. It's my white Nintendo aftermarket controller or clone controller shell, but with the Nintendo internal components. So like the black buttons all came from my other black controller. And the reason I want to do this is because if you've seen any of my past videos, I really enjoy the thumb pads on an Xbox One Elite controller. So what I plan on doing here is installing the Xbox One Elite controller thumb pads to this controller here. So I'm going to have the magnetic capabilities of changing out the thumb pads to either shorter pads or larger pads, depending, obviously. And then, of course, I will attempt to, and hopefully I can do it, I will be attempting to change the magnetic cross here with the regular controller for the Wii U controller here. I'll be replacing it with this, and I could also change it with the platter if I want to. So let's get started. What I ended up doing here, obviously, again, this is a aftermarket clone controller. I already started the process only because when you're using or taking apart clone controllers, the screws strip pretty easily. So I did all of that off camera, but I am going to try to walk you through the process. So when I flip this over, typically I would have my my battery cover here. And again, like I said, it's all Phillips head screws on this particular one, and I have my little tool here that I'd gotten with my magnetic thumb pads. And really, you're just going to take out the 4 screws in these 4 holes here. So there's 4 holes here. Once you get those out, and just show you that this is an actual Nintendo branded product, or like a clone outside, but my Nintendo internals. This is the Nintendo battery, came right out of here, popped out of here. The clone controllers don't use a replaceable battery like this. They use a battery that is wired, and it plugs into like some pins off to the side. There are then 4 more screws that you have to take out. One is located here, another one here, here, and here. And just for the sake of saving time and the effort it took to take this controller apart, I basically did that already. So right now I'm just going to try to wiggle off the back here. Take the back off for us. And if you just, there goes my thumb pads. The thumb pads fell right out. So this is the backing, and I'm just going to put that aside, set that aside somewhere. Let me get my other trigger that fell on the ground there. I'll put that aside, and hopefully we can get that set back up for you when we go to put the controller back together. And you'll see that this is the back side. You'll have one rumble motor here. You have the bumper buttons here and the trigger button here. And it's on this little kind of like tiered board, and it's soldered to the main board. Now I'm going to remove these, and I'm also going to take out the bumpers. So I'm going to take the bumpers out. I'm going to set those aside for now. Put those aside. And what I'm going to be doing right now is there are screws on... I'm going to push these aside here so I can get them out of my way. There is one screw holding the joystick in place. So I'm going to unscrew that one screw on the back right here and pull that right out. And I should be able to just quickly replace the magnetic thumb pad. So I'm just going to hold it, just unscrew it a little bit. What kind of got me on this kick right here, obviously, I really like the grips on the Microsoft thumb pads as opposed to the PlayStation thumb pad, or even this Nintendo thumb pad. It just feels better to me. I like having a grip on it. If my hands get a little sweaty in the middle of gaming, I really don't like losing control of my character. So what I'm doing is I'm just applying a little pressure from my thumb here to push up, because like I said, being a third party or clone controller, the screws don't typically come out all that easy. So I gotta put a little bit of pressure on it to try to make sure that the screw can come out. Man, that's tough. Didn't have this much trouble the first time I did this, for sure. That's for sure. But I assure you, the motherboard, the main board, and everything like that in here is all Nintendo. So I just want to be careful that I don't ruin the shell here, so I can put it back together afterwards. But what's filming without a little bit of trouble, right? Always going to have a little bit of that. Here it comes, starting to come up a little bit here. Just giving it enough push to try to get that screw out. And there it is. Got the screw out, and I can actually just wiggle this controller pad out of place. Oh, let me put my screwdriver down. And again, as you guys well know, I usually do this with like a camera in front of my face, so it can be a little bit tough to do. There we go. Here it comes. All right, so now I can pull this right back, and you can see here's my thumb pad. So if I just pull that thumb pad right up, there we go, just like any other thumb pad on most systems. Set that aside, and I will install my magnetic thumb pad. So let's just make sure we line that up right. Push it down, and let's just push it back into place and see what it looks like on the other side here. Oh yeah, that looks pretty cool. Already I can tell that I'm going to like this. Yep. All the way around, that looks pretty straight. All right. So let me just get my screw back in there. And on these, there are these little pegs that stick out, and you want to make sure that you put the board back into place there, and then you can install your screw. But just make sure you put enough pressure down so you're able to do that. And again, I apologize. I'm just trying to eye this through a camera. Oop, and that went right in, so I'm wondering if I stripped that. Hopefully I did not. Looks like I did a little bit, but that's all right. When I put the back plate on, I should be more than fine here. All right, let's do the other side. Oh, we'll just slide this motor back in so it doesn't keep flopping around. I should have probably taped that, but that's all right. We'll just slide you right in there like that, and let's get this other piece out, shall we? All right, so I'm really excited. I really like doing these projects, and again, like the whole idea behind my channel is I'm just an average consumer that likes to buy product, try things out, and if I can modify it or make it better for me to get more play out of it, or even if I could help other people, I like to do that on my channel. So that's what I like to do. And in some upcoming channels, episodes that I'm planning, I'm going to be doing this modification also to maybe some other controllers, maybe even to the Pro Pad controller for the Nintendo Wii U. Also, you know, being that I'm just the casual or curious consumer, like I said, I buy all sorts of product, and I like to try it out. And if I can give reviews on things, I'm going to start doing that, do some reviews for you guys, and also let you in on maybe other types of genres of things as opposed to just video games. Maybe I'll even touch upon like food and drinks, energy drinks, that kind of stuff. All right, so I've got both of those back in. Now, that feels pretty good, except this one here is going to give me some trouble, I'm sure. So let me just see this real quick, because I'm going to have to take those off again. There we go. Well, that's really cool. All right. So before I finish up, what I want to do is see if I can change this. And that's going to require me to take off some more parts. So I'll have to take this piece out, which is the battery component. I'll have to unplug it from here. And then, of course, take the board, which has a screw here. I'll have to take these screws off again, a screw here and a screw here. And that'll get me right back to where my buttons are on the front. So let's do that right now. So right underneath this little ribbon here is your first screw. And again, don't be too rough with it. You don't want it to strip like one of my other screws did. And I may have to sneeze here in just a second. Oh boy, don't like doing that on camera. right, cool. This one's going to give me a problem, I'm sure, because as we know, that one is stripped. So not a big deal. We'll go to this one here. Right next to this ribbon here is another one, right next to the battery power here. That gives power to the board. And we'll take that out here. And again, I'm just going somewhat easy. Oop, I dropped the screw in there. Let's see if I can get that out. There we go. Don't want to lose that. And last but not least, I'm going to give a little push up on the bottom here and hope I can get this screw out of place. Or maybe I just pull it. There we go. Came right out. There we go. All right. So now all that is taken out. I can lift this board. And again, I'm just going to give a little pressure here on this connector, which is the mini USB cable. Not to be confused with the micro. Definitely not a micro USB cable. I don't think that there is another screw in here anywhere. I think that is it for screws. Let's take a look underneath. Yep, that looks like that is it. So just pull up on the board a bit. There we go. I'm just getting a grip. Sorry for taking that off screen there. But I don't want to drop it. And I can already hear some of the buttons flipping around in the front there. Oh, you know what? What's holding it back is this thing right here. Here we go. Let's pull these out like this. And then I can just lift it right up. All right, there we go. All right. So here's the front of this, and you can see I still have some of the membranes there. So what I want to do is just take a quick look at what the directional pad will do. And the thing that I noticed about these kits, which again you can buy on eBay if you ever wanted to do a project like this, these kits specifically come with this little cross pad here. It has magnets inside. But what I noticed is, if you can see this here, you can see that these are all raised at different heights. And that's because this piece was made specifically for an Xbox One controller. So what I have to do is check and see if I can do this with a Nintendo controller. So I have to take the membrane off, and I will take this out. It looks like I have... All right, looks like I have the membrane, which would go this way and there. All right, so what I have to do is try to make this piece mirror what this piece is doing. And it should fit in the same spot. The difference is going to be these pegs on the bottom. So I'm just going to pause the video really quickly and just try something out real fast. I'll be right back. And we're back. All right, so I did have to do some modifications. This crosshair here would not fit inside of the hole that's allotted here for the controller. I had to cut off these little lips that hang onto the side. And of course, again, on the bottom, remember I told you or showed you that there were these little lips that were sticking up. I left the middle one here and then one down here at the bottom, just so I'd know what the orientation was for this crosshair. So this will go right inside of here, and it's a pretty snug fit. I just have to make sure that it sits flush. There we go. And then I have to put the membrane back on. Now we're going to give this a shot afterwards, or at least I'll give it a shot afterwards, and then leave it in a link, or actually leave a comment in the description to let you know how well this particular piece worked. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is just put this piece back together. So now that that's in there, let's try to put our main board back in. Sorry about this, guys. I'm just picking it up and I only have a limited amount of space here to be able to do this. So we're going to do this together here. Let's oops, knock that out of the way. Of course, this looks a little messy, but that's what's going to happen there. All right. perfect. So the board just went right back in. That's no problem. Now I just got to line that up. Perfect. Pop those thumb pads back into place. Another thumb pad back into place there. Perfect. All right. That's good. Good. All right. I need my... Oh, this one's not lined up on the thumb pad. Let me just flip this up here for a second. Oh, there we go. That should go right in there, in that hole. Oh, it's not. That's why I have to slide that piece in there. All right, now it's in place. All right, good. So now that's in place. This side is in place as well. And let's screw it back together. All right. Oh, so that was fun. All right. This piece goes, the screw will go right in here. All right, one step at a time. And I think we're almost done. So let's recap what we did. We had a clone controller, aftermarket clone controller, Nintendo, that we had taken the, I had taken the original Wii U controller parts out of. I replaced it in here, which you did not see because I had done that a previous time for myself. And I ended up replacing the thumbsticks inside of this controller with Xbox One magnetic thumbsticks, as well as the directional pad for the Xbox One Elite controller. So essentially, we just made a Nintendo Elite controller. What? That's awesome. I can't wait to try this controller out. I hope it works well. We'll find out in a minute or two once we get all the membrane pieces back in and can keep the buttons flat. All right, that should be almost all the way in. Perfect. It's very tight in this particular controller where you're trying to fit the screws back in. They just want to fall right back out again. You know what? Let's take this out, push it back, and do it this way instead. That way it's not in the way. Pretty exciting stuff, I know. I hope you tune into some of my other channels. Pretty soon I'll be doing a modification in October for my PlayStation 4 controller. I will be modifying that and making that an actual PlayStation Elite controller. There is a part that's coming out for that, which I'm very excited about trying. That will allow you to use extra triggers on the back of the controller. So that part doesn't come in until October. All right, and let's screw that in. I know that was a problem last time. All right, that is in place. Let's put these pieces back in place here and here. There's like these little nubs there. All right, now this will be the right of the controller. So this is the bumper. So we have to just place the bumper back in. And oops, hit the camera there. Sorry, guys. And let's put the left bumper back in. So I'm going to pause the video now because I'm pretty sure, well, actually not right now. Actually, I'll put it together first and then I'll pause the video. I don't want to bore you guys with the screwing the screws back in. Right now I'm just replacing buttons on the back part here because this part gets a little bit tricky and you have to kind of do it from the side because right here these little boards have to slide, these little boards right here have to slide into this portion right here. So what I've got to do is kind of come up to the side here and just kind of sandwich the controller together ever so carefully so those boards fit into place without them falling over. And then once you get that in there, then you got to wiggle it in and hope everything stays in place. So a little tricky there. There we go. Awesome. All right, cool. It looks like we are in place here. All right, and let me just quickly pause, and I'm going to put the screws in, and then I'll pick right back up again. All right, and this should do it right there. All right, cool. So I got all the screws back in. Again, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 screws on the back here underneath the battery panel, and 1, 2, 3, 4 screws to hold the controller together. Now we just have to put the battery back in, and it just pops right back into place like that. You take your battery cover, pop it on the back like this, and then screw that back on nice and tight so it doesn't come off. You don't want to screw too hard because you don't want to strip it, especially because you have a controller that's like I said, a clone controller, so the plastic isn't always as strong. And there you have it, guys. Check it out. I am so happy about this. This is so cool. I can then put my thumb pads back on. I have grippy thumb pads and my directional pad, which all works. Nice. Sweet. And there you have it, guys. A full-on Nintendo Wii U Pro controller. Elite. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. I know the video was somewhat long, but you know what? I hope you guys get an opportunity to mess with your controllers at home, and maybe you get kind of motivated, or you get a little itch in yourself to try a modification like this. You know, leave a comment on the video. Let me know what kind of modifications maybe you've tried at home, or maybe some modifications you'd like to see done in the future. Maybe I can give that a shot. Guys, thanks again for watching so much. Don't forget to smack that thumbs up button, comment and subscribe to my channel, guys, and keep an eye out for the next couple of videos I have coming up in the near future. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining me today on making an elite Nintendo Wii U Pro controller. See you in the next one, guys.